Well, into the first Friday of the month of September. That means visiting us in studio here today is Marshfield Mayor Bob McManus. Good morning.
Good morning. I would like to say I was here a couple of minutes ago when you mentioned the S word for the weather, and I almost fell out of my chair. So you're going to give me a minute here.
Well, that's coming up in our budget discussion here.
Good.
Talking with the mayor, you can too, 384-2191, 384-2191. We're live here on this first Friday of the month, coming to you and rebroadcast on Marshfield Channel 989 on your Charter or Spectrum Digital tier, or you can watch us on their Facebook page at City of Marshfield on Facebook. And Tom posts all the videos up there a very short period of time, so we invite you to take a look at that. Again, I say that because of some of the things we discuss may have already been resolutions to before we get a chance to actually see the video here. But how are we doing on the budget shortfall? I mean, it's crunch time. A lot of people are going to have to make some tough decisions.
You're exactly right. That day is coming, and we're going to have our budget meetings in October. Right now, Ron Alman and Director of Finance and Steve Barg, City Administrator, they're going through the budgets. They did something a little bit different this year. All departments are aware that we have an issue that we have to take care of, and we've done a lot of things proactively. We refinanced some long-term debt and really got the interest rate down. That helps. We still have a bit of a hole there, and so we're looking to get that resolved as quickly as we can. Now, until we see what the actual budgets are when Steve puts everything together, we're really not going to know. But a document was sent out to all of the department heads when they put their budgets together. Know this ahead of time that we need to crunch everything. Historically, I believe what has happened is people throw in everything that they possibly can in a budget, justifiably so. That's the way you do it. And then Steve would have to sit there and cut this and that. So what he asked the department heads this year is, let's go in bare bones with what we need to do, and then if we have excess later, we can we can add. So all of those budgets are now into Steve, City Administrator. He's going through everything. I'm checking in with him just to see where they are, but it's still too soon to tell. We'll know in a couple of weeks where we're really going to be.
Just to recap here, to set it up for people who may not be aware, there was an accounting anomaly. I don't mean to point this as there was any kind of malfeasance going on. It was just the way that the business was being done. It appeared that money was being put from TIF districts into general fund, and that was used for the spending of the city and the budget. And when that was removed again, suddenly there's a big shortfall. And when I use that word, that's what I mean. Don't mean to say that there was any other than an accounting difference. And that sounds like I'm trying to cover up here. Every time you say it, people think, well, that's what they put people in jail for, is an accounting difference. I said, no. This is really just a matter of, the money is all there. Nobody took anything. Nobody was trying to steal. But that's something that they just moved from one pile to another. So now the city, are you going to, and I asked you this before, but are you going to try to make it all up in one, because it's going to be an annual shortfall now, right? As I understand
most of it will be this year, and then through the next budget year as well, a little bit. We had to make the decision. First of all, let's get this out, because you bring up a very good point. There was no maliciousness. There was not even a penny missing. But the bottom line is, for 7 to 8 years, the way they were allocating the funds was just wrong. And that's just something that you don't hear governments ever say. It's almost out of the dictionary for a government to say, or a politician to say, it was wrong. Here's the thing. It was wrong. There's just no way around it. So now we have to go in and we have to fix it. And which is what we're looking to do. So we knew this all came out back in, I believe, February or March. We had a public meeting right away. so that the public was aware of what was going on. But nobody really felt anything yet because the budget is, we were still on last year's budget. Well, now we're going to feel it. And so we're taking proactive measures to make sure that the that the pain is as minimal as could possibly be. So we're just going to have to wait and see what those final numbers are, which is why I really don't like to project where do we think we're going to be, because last year was my first budget cycle as mayor with the city. And what was interesting is everybody was, we at that time they put out a range of a tax increase from nothing to a max of 4.5. Well, and that just gives the city officials something to work with. You can't exceed this. There's a state law that you can't exceed it. So everybody started going out and saying that the city is going to raise things 4.5, and it's like it's a parameter of it. When it actually came out and was all said and done, after all the numbers were done, the increase was nominal. So this is where what we don't want to do right now is go, there could be a tax increase, there might not. We really don't know. What we know is that we're going to do the responsible thing. We're not going to kick this, which many governments do. We're not going to kick this issue down the road for future administrations to have to deal with it. We're going to deal with it just as with, folks here in the city when they're going in and life is going pretty good, and then all of a sudden the suspension goes out in the car and they got to deal with it. And we're going to handle it that same way.
Talking with Mayor Bob McManus, you can too, 384-2191, 384-2191. Let's go to the phone. Joanne, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. I wanted to ask the mayor a question, and I wanted to ask him it quick before you guys really got involved with more important, I guess, things. I hope to God it never happens, but I got a feeling that Perkins is on the chopping block for going down, and I hope to God it never happens because they take ARP, and I'm a firm believer in ARP. So I was just wondering, is the Hudson's restaurant ever going to get off the market and get activity in there again? It's only been sitting idle for how many moons, and I'm sure a huge lottery winner would have to go in there to do all the mending up. But I was just wondering, since that's been sitting idle, is there any activity planned on going in there?
So you bring up a great question, Joanne, and that is with that Hudson's building, that's on the free market. So whenever somebody that wants to put in maybe a restaurant or different things, whenever they decide to do that, they would contact the agency there that has that property listed to go through that. We're not privy to that up front, what business owners, or there might be people out there right now thinking about, hey, I want to start a business, and they need to look for a location. So that property has been on the market for years. And we just have to wait to see if somebody will come in and do that. The local government, the city government, does not get involved in putting certain businesses in certain places. That's not our function. Our function is to create a safe environment, safety, taking care of the roads and things like that. So what independent buyers and sellers choose to do with a business establishment is completely up to them.
I see.
We would love to answer your question. We'd love to have somebody go there and choose to open up a business there. It's a great location. Hudson's did very good in Marshfield, but they didn't do good in other cities, and that led them to close everything. And this is what you see, when we had the Shopko closing.
Yep.
They did fine here, but in other parts of the state and the country, they weren't doing well. Mm-hmm. And so
what did Yonkers?
Yonkers, the same thing.
Yep.
Yonkers did the same thing. So you see, that's not something that, when that closes, the city really has no involvement in that. And I think there's when there was the hotel that made a decision to come to town, the city does not decide what businesses go where.
Oh.
People that choose to go into business, we'll call them a buyer, choose to buy a location from a seller. City's not involved. Now, unless they come to the city for assistance, but that's after everything is all done. In our TIF districts, and our TIDs and our TIFs have all done very, very well. And so the assistance that the city has given out has been very profitable for the citizens. But if you know of anybody that would love to go there and buy that place and develop it into something great, I think that would be tremendous.
Oh, I think there will be a lot of people, but I doubt very much if they could afford it.
Well,
like,
and that's,
not too many people have the lottery anymore.
Right.
All right, thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yes, that's, I go by that building, and she's right all the time, you think, but it doesn't have to be a restaurant. I don't know if they've got any equipment left in there anymore. That building is a commercial building to be used for whatever. That's just happened to be what it was used for the last time.
Right.
So it's tough to start out, especially independent. I don't know if there's an advantage of franchise because the fees are so big up front, but if you have one, maybe you can start another one. That's how people get, but if you can get over the hump of the first location, maybe you can have a couple more.
Right.
But just to have one by yourself, that's a tough row to hoe.
Yes, and Joanne brings up a good thing, the rumor mill. You never know on that. If you go to some of the coffee clutches that go around in the morning, I mean, you would be surprised at things that come up. We really don't know. And so, for instance, she brings up Perkins. Perkins does not consult the city on whether they're really profitable or if they have issues. We're not involved. Now, we have things to help local businesses. Mackey is a tremendous help to businesses in so many different assets to help employers that lose their job. We heard of a business that just went out. They closed the doors yesterday, and I thought it was, the employees didn't know. The owner put a note up on the door where employees come in. We're closing, and you'll get your last paycheck on the normal day. The city's not involved in that. There's no way that we would know. Now, so when we hear about a business closing, this is typically the word that gets around. Another business closed. What we don't hear enough about, Jeff, is the 13 businesses that have opened up so far this year. That gets no traction. You know what really gets no traction? The 18 businesses here in Marshfield that are expanding this year. There's no talk, there's no glory. If you go on social media, just not a lot about good things. But the reality of the situation is we have had business closings here, but the city is not involved in those. When Office Max went out, Office Max is a national company. We had no involvement in that. I mean, with that one, you could kind of go in there and see their inventory was less and less and less, and it took a long time to get a little bit of customer service and whatnot. So you saw the writing on the wall, but Office Max competed with themselves. I personally went in there a couple times. Do you have this product, or do you have this? Because I saw it online, and they say, no, we don't have it here, but you can get it online cheaper. Now, I'm going to give my age away here a little bit, but I don't know if you remember like Montgomery Ward's, JCPenney, Sears back in the day. You remember they had catalogs too, but you would have to come back into the store and pick up your catalog stuff, and it was all the same price. So when these online retailers are selling products that they sell in, their traditional brick and mortar buildings, they're selling it cheaper online. That online business is putting the brick and mortar out of business. I mean, it just makes no sense. But the way it looks to local citizens, oh wow, look, Office Max went out, or Shopko. Shopko had huge issues. City's not involved in those. Shopko does not come to the city and give us a status report every month.
Because the city is involved in zoning or TIF district, we heard about the hotel
Yes.
that was over on Upham in the old KC building. The city keeps coming up as a player, so to speak.
Yes.
In that, that's why people get confused, I think.
Yes.
But it's not about the business itself. It's about the zoning, where it can. You can tell them where they can't be.
Right.
Because there's zoning laws.
or that you can, that you know what you can't build. You know, if you go into a residential district, you know, you can't build a manufacturing plant over on Blodgett. You just can't. It's not zoned that way. So from that aspect, but as far as what that business wants to do, that's just people in the free market that come. Because if we are going to blame, I give all the credit for, and I will say this, when you see some of the things being said and the rumors about, you know, businesses going away and stuff like that, I really feel bad for the successful businesses here in Marshfield, that those business owners that are, you know, they're there in the morning at 5 o'clock opening up the doors, and they're providing good jobs for people and taking care of their employees. All of the credit of the success of those businesses goes to those owners and employees of that business. No one else should get any credit for how successful that business is. But being fair is, at the same token, if that business does go out of business, we can't start blaming everybody else like, well, it's the city's fault. Well, wait a minute. If we don't get the credit, we can't get the blame. So I go into businesses every day. I mean, if you look at the energy downtown, you look at the energy of our expansions of business locally, you look at how real estate is just, there aren't enough properties. We're building 400 new. The city, there are developers within the city that are building up 400 new 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments because our population is increasing. So, and if you look at our overall economy, and this is something that we hear, okay, look, another business went out of business. Well, we have to see that. We can't sugarcoat that. That's always sad for the business owner, but it's also sad for the employees, because the employees are friends. You know, it's their second home, kind of. But you look at all of these different things, and we have to give the credit to the business owners. We just have to. We can't take away from that. And I'm seeing that more and more to get out in the downtown area, as I was saying. Lots of new businesses going up. Throughout the city, there's lots of new businesses going up. But you're always going to have some that maybe don't make it. Maybe they don't keep up with the times from a online presence or whatever else it is. It's a very interesting time.
I don't know if it's because of my age that I realized finally, as people my age are the business owners now, that you're only one contract away from no more business. Because if you're a retail, that's different. You're getting one customer at a time. You're trying to outdo, foot traffic, get people in the store in the old brick and mortar, or get people online, or whatever the case may be. But if you're a manufacturer, if you don't have a place to sell your product, if that contract goes away, if who's buying your product is no longer, you got to find another place to sell it to. So you're always in the back of your mind looking for the next sales opportunity. Suddenly they have 2 contracts, thinking that one was going to go away. Oh, we hit on both of them now. So now they're expanding, and people go, oh, they're doing great. Well, one of the contracts was going to be going away. You don't know that because you're not the business owner. So there's expansion and contraction that happens all the time that we're not privileged to. And as far as being, going out of business, I don't know an easy way. Putting a note on the door seems pretty harsh, but on the other hand, a malingering death of 3 weeks and rumors rolling around about how everything is going to pot doesn't help the business or the community or anybody either.
Right.
It's like when I lose my job, I say I quit. The guy says, I'll give you 2 weeks. He says, don't bother, clean your desk out right now, because you're just a cancer hanging around here for 2 weeks of just talking about how you're not going to be here anymore, right, unless you've got some knowledge that you have to impart upon somebody and say, look, I'll help the next guy. And they'll still tell you, just go ahead, we'll figure it out.
Right.
Because you're like, well, I'm trying to do the right thing here. And
right.
Even a business, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'll give you 2 weeks notice before we shut down. Might as well just pull the plug right now. There is no easy way to die.
No, there's no easy way. And our hearts go out to them. But you look at how do you evaluate how an economy, and we'll just say here in Marshfield, how we're really doing. And so you have to look at the businesses that go out of business. That is something there. And you have to look at the businesses that are opening up, as well as the businesses that are expanding, because if we were in a bad spot, new businesses wouldn't be opening. People would wait, or they wouldn't be expanding. But how do we really tell what's going on? It's by the jobs that are available. You go out and you talk to the business owners right now. They can't find people. So yes, we do have some that close. We do have some that open. But net bottom line, right now, there are so many jobs, hundreds of good paying jobs right here in Marshfield. That takes away all the fluff, because there's your, what would be, in my opinion, your barometer of how things are going. If you have these business closings and you have these openings, but there's no jobs available, now now we're at a completely different issue.
All right, let's go to the phone here. Dave, are you on with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, gentlemen. I have a quick question for the mayor, if I may.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if there was any possibility that Marshfield might be able to get in on that new Opportunity Zone program that HUD has. I have seen Dr. Ben Carson talking about that on TV. I was wondering if anybody in Marshfield and government is looking at that at all.
So that's a great question. Josh Miller, our Development Services Director, he's in tune with as many of those opportunities that are there. I will absolutely ask him about that. I don't have any information for you on that right now, but it'd definitely be a great thing to look into.
All right, thank you much.
All right.
384-2191, 384-2191. We are live here this first Friday of the month of September on WDLB Radio. You could be watching us in video here form on channel 989 on your Spectrum Digital tier, or you could be watching us on the City of Marshfield Facebook page. We'll be back to talk more with you too, if you so choose, in a moment. AM 1450 WDLB's Insight program here for this first Friday in September, talking with Mayor Bob McManus. He avails himself to you and I as questions are available through our online here, our phone line, online phone line. I'm still not used to that yet. I don't have all the Twitter feeds here like some of the other radio hosts do. We're still pretty old school here at 1450, but if you want to give us a call, it still works. 384-2191, and the questions you ask I find most often are ones that other people were thinking about too, but just didn't take the time to ask. So for every one you answered out 10 other people's questions.
Right. Well, what's interesting is you look at back on the business topic here. There was a lot of when Figgies went out. That was Marshfield history. That one hurt from a historical point of view. And their business model changed over the years. Many of the workers there were completely displaced, and many of them have found newer jobs, better paying jobs, and are doing quite well. But what's very interesting is when you hear Figgies, a lot of people say, well, there's open business, or there's a building that's wide open. And I can't figure this out. What most people don't understand is that the Figgies buildings, a couple of them have been purchased. One of them is by Nelson Jameson, great local company, expanding, going into there. The other one is Hastrider Industries, and very few people know about Hastrider. Hastrider Industries started 25 years ago. I interviewed them a while ago. Great story. He showed me a picture of, and on our local cable access, I do a show called Experience Marshfield, and they're one of the companies that we had to come in and tell their story. He showed me his original tool shed. They make CNC machine parts. He started in a little shed, and he had a picture of it. It was just amazing. I mean, it was a little shed, and had a light that he brought in with an extension cord, and that's how he started. And they've got bigger and bigger and bigger. Jeff, they make machine parts for aerospace, for airplanes, for amazing the product that they make. Some of it they can't even tell us because it's top secret. So, of course, we don't want to, well, we do want to ask, but we can't. Because I did ask, but they wouldn't tell me. That is right here in Marshfield. And when the subject of Figgies comes up, which again, we have to give honor and credence to, but what about Hastrider Industries? What about Nelson Jameson? Both of them expanding, bringing on more and more people. We don't ever hear about that. And so, but we see it, and we honor that. And what's very interesting, there's a lot of expansion going on. And as an example, I'm on the pool committee. We're very excited about the pool that is going to be down in the Hefco spot. We're very excited. It's the new pool's going to go in there. It's going to be the Hefco will open up in springtime and then close down July 4th, so citizens can get a last summer in there, and then we'll break ground on that in July of 2020. So there was a big thing there of, is there going to be enough money there for fundraising? That was a big concern. And I will tell you, I'm on that committee. I'm making calls. The support has been overwhelming. Already there's already people that have committed pretty fair amount of money. And we're going out and asking some major donors as well. But here's the thing. This is what we're getting back. A lot of people were concerned is Marshfield tapped out as far as going to the public and asking for money? What we're finding out just the opposite. There are people, Jeff, and I will tell, and because I'm one of the people making these calls, I'm hearing from these people. They are so excited about this pool, and they're excited about the direction of Marshfield. They are proud of, this started back with the library, the expansion of the YMCA. The new athletic stadium is beautiful. That's the school district and many donors. The Wenzel Family Plaza. You look at many of the exhibits over at the zoo. These people love Marshfield, and so they're on board. Oh, we can do a pool too, and get it updated so kids can go in there and they can have a good time. I'm very, very excited about this new pool coming in, but I will tell you that the benefit of listening to the people that we are asking money for, how excited they are about the direction of the city, and that we are, there's all these different things. As I mentioned, the library, the expansion of the YMCA, the athletic facility, the zoo exhibits with the amount, our zoo, we have the largest bear exhibit in the country. In our little zoo here in Marshfield, and you look at the people that graciously donated that, we are very, very lucky. Very lucky.
I looked around and I was quite amazed when I took a tally, and just the way you did here, about all the things that have been done. And I haven't heard a lot of people complaining about how their tax bills have gone up because of it. This is all money that's coming from, I guess the callers who are being called know where it's coming from, and some of them want their name on it, some of them don't. But it's there. It's being done. And as a progressive community, you talked about building housing before and looking for open jobs. Why would they come here? Well, those are all the reasons. Besides, if the job itself is equal from one community to another, what community are you going to live in? And when you see what we've done here in the past even 5 to 8 years is just amazing in what some would consider a down economy, and yet you see the chart and it's going up all the time.
It is, and the all of the credit for this, in my opinion, goes to, there are some people we'll look at the plaza and the YMCA. John over at the YMCA he's just got a personality that's just bigger than life, and he had a vision, and he was not going to take no for an answer, and they raised a lot of money. The athletic facility, you look at, there's a big component there. There's the visionary people that were on the board that went out, that had to make the calls and do that. They had a vision, and they believed in it. And so those people are of major credit for this. But But there are a lot of people that wrote big checks. And what's very amazing to me, and I think very intriguing and very enduring, is as we're out asking folks for money for the pool, many of them are coming back saying, we don't want to be identified. That's how much they love the city. They're not looking at it as a pool or a library. They're looking at they're contributing to make their city better, for all the people. So this is why there are some big donations, and there's going to be some small ones, and we appreciate all of them. The pool is a very unique thing. There's going to be 100 families. It will be some folks that donate, where a family can donate $1,000, and there'll be 100 of them. It's a significant amount of money. But what I am so intrigued with, and I think the thing that really took me back, is when you make calls to ask people for money, there's call reluctance. I mean, there just is. And the response has just been so overwhelmingly positive, that we're just very, very excited about it. We had one, Prevention Genetics. It was a 15-minute meeting, $150,000 in a 15-minute meeting. That normally on these things, they take months. When you go ask for people for something like this, they have to go back to their boards or committees, or they have to think about it. What do they want to do? This one was just that quick. Now, it's not the way all of them are. But you really appreciate how much many of them are companies or, people that are well known throughout the community. They just love the community. And what we see is whether they have, they're coming in with large donations or small ones, their enthusiasm behind it is what is very, very exciting. And in talking to other people that were on fundraising committees, that's what they saw as well. And that's something that you just don't hear about. The big thing is Marshfield tapped out as far as people to go to, for those different donations. And boy, when you meet these people and see how much they love the city, it really changes your mind.
We'll talk more about city business. You can too here, as we are live on AM 1450 this first Friday of the month in September. You could be watching us on Spectrum Charter, Channel 989, or MarshfieldMediaAccess.org is their website, MarshfieldMediaAccess.org. Remember the org instead of the com. You get those two mixed up, you don't get to the right place, but that's how it happens, I guess. And also at their City of Marshfield Facebook page as well. Well, join us here on the radio. AM 1450 WDLB's Inside program for this first Friday in September. Those of you watching us on video, as we like to say here, some of these issues may have already been resolved or are in the rearview mirror for you, but for us here yet, this first Friday in September, we're talking about looking ahead, whether the events or ideas that are now proposed came to fruition or not, I guess. And speaking of coming to fruition here, how close are we on our Central Avenue project that was going to be till Labor Day at some point? Now it's past that, and we're still hacking away at it.
We're still hacking away. I was just driving on there this morning, and it looks like they're getting close. I believe the new date is September 24th. So I think they're still putting, it looks like, curb and gutter on a few different areas. So they'll finish that up. Then the signs have to go up, the signal posts, and those have to get up. But they projected they'll be done by September 24th, so it's been a long time.
Now, how does that work with, I know you're not a construction guy, but is it over budget then? Or has it just been delayed? Or was the project bigger than what was originally bid? And how do they adjust that?
It was bigger, and
on the
there
fly?
were things added, and the state the state is picking up the tab for that. There were, they went out one time. If you saw on the east side of the street, there was they had laid down a lot of concrete, and they let it cure, and then they realized that it wasn't thick enough, so they had to go tear all that out. The contractor eats that because it should have been thicker. But there have been some things, that were there. Dan Connect and Tom Turchie, they work for the city, let them know that the substructure, is 100 years old. So it really needed to be a complete reconstruct. And the city or the county or the state, I'm sorry, went in. They wanted to go and just get this through for about 12 to 15 years. So it ended up being more expensive to do, but the state is covering that. So that doesn't really affect us too terribly much. I think it might have gone up a little bit for us, but the state really picks that up. So I know when it's all done, I'm optimistic that we're going to get some good wear on it. It's nice to drive on those two lanes right in the middle. And I always get nervous. I'm going to pop one of those cones.
I know.
But it's interesting to watch them as they prep and they put in the curb and gutter. And I don't know how they do their calculations of how, you make that grade a certain way. I know they're very talented folks out there that are doing that. I mean, they're out there in the rain and the sun and but a big part of the delay was due to some calculations of work that they thought that they weren't going to have to do that they did do. There was some delay due to the weather. I mean, there were some days where they just could not get out there. Of course, you have a major holiday in the middle of it on July 4th. So overall, it's gone fairly well. I just think that people within the city are in a little bit of road construction fatigue. There's a lot of road construction going on and repair. So, but we're looking forward to September 24th.
As a citizen of Marshfield, I'm happy to see it doesn't come out of our local budget, but on the other hand, it's still my pocket as a Wisconsin taxpayer. It's coming out of one pocket or the other. It's going to have to be done. It was maybe bid as a little shorter job than what it turned out to be, but I'm glad they're doing it right, instead of a quick fix.
Right.
And that could be worse for us as citizens here.
Right.
What about the rest of the city as far as the construction projects?
The rest of the city, all of the other ones have gone well. There's a few that have taken longer, again, due to weather or maybe some ads that were done. But overall, it's gone pretty well. It's staying within budget.
Now, I've been told in the past that some of the jobs that the city uses and does with their own equipment can be then contracted out because you don't have an asphalt paver. You contract that part of it out.
Right.
You tear the road up, you take it all out, you smooth it all out. You're ready for the contractor to come in and do their private contracting. They're the asphalt putter-oner, so to speak.
Right. I like that, putter-oner. I can understand that.
So let them do that part of it. And in the meantime, the manholes are sticking up or whatever until they get there because they wait until there's a time when they can do all the jobs at once rather than having to come back 5 times for a block here and a block there. So there are some places in the city that are still graveled or whatever. It look like there's some holes in there that hopefully will get some surface before the snowplow comes over the top of it.
Yeah, you keep bringing up that word. Snow. We don't need to talk about that. Over on Schmidt, there was blacktop put on there last Friday on half of the street. And then on Ives, which it connects to, there's nothing there. So on one part, there's just this roll of where the concrete was put in. And, the other side is still gravel. So people don't understand that. And it's for the exact reason that you said, scheduling. So when you bring in that heavy equipment, you're going to go up and down. And so a week to 10 days for us as residents is a long time. But for companies that are doing that, it saves a lot of money to just come in and do a project, go to 3 to 4 projects in a day or in a week, and then come back and do them maybe 10 days. It makes sense. It keeps the cost down. So yes, it is an annoyance for 10 days. And I use the word now annoyance. What it probably when this all first started, I wouldn't have used that word. but it is annoying.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it's going to be repaired, 2 days after all these roads are repaired and all the heavy equipment is gone, people are going to love it. And it's just, waiting.
Well, we're just addressing here, if you're joining us, why you see a square on a block that's gravel and it's not gotten any pavement yet. Why didn't they just finish the job when they were there? Well, that's not how it works. They bring in a private contractor and he does 16 in a day or a week rather than doing 3 at a time. It's just more cost efficient.
Right.
So I know people get impatient with that. They were talking about the coming up here on what will be the council agenda is, I don't know if this is, let me back up before I get to council agenda. People ask me, because we don't see anything, the high-rise, the former city hall, is that been sold? Is that taken over by anybody?
Gosh, yes, that's been closed for months.
And so now it's private entity.
Private entity, and they're doing a great job. I think they worked out something with the tennis association. So the indoor tennis courts that are there are being run now by the tennis association, which is great. They've done, that used to be run by the city, and then you had to only make your reservations between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now the way they have it for tennis enthusiasts is they could just do it online, and they'll get a fob, and they can go over and play any, 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's going really well. And they're the Steinleys, they're taking their time. They're doing their upgrades, and so it's going very well.
Yeah.
And just as a little, from the city aspect, our cost to run City Hall has gone down now that we're in the new location from just over, I think, $225,000 a year down to about $95,000. So it's significant savings to the city.
That'll help with the budget situation.
Absolutely. And we're counting every penny.
Good, because I'm giving you every one I got.
I will tell you that every time I go in there to City Hall, I go by Ron and Steve. Ron, the finance director, and Steve Barg, the city administrator. Ron keeps his door closed when he's doing something serious. And Ron is your typical finance guy. His office is meticulous. Everything is in order, and that's just the show.
No wonder I don't have any money. I'm not a finance guy. My office looks like a blizzard.
So he's got windows, and every time I go by, I knock on the window. Did you find any more money?
You're funny.
I talked with Steve Barg just this morning, and how are you doing on the budget? Are you finding any more money? So it's I want to hear it too, right? I mean, I know the public does. And so we just got to wait to get those final ones. And I've learned not to speculate. I learned that last year. That was a rude awakening to, people were getting so upset about what if? And then the end result was it was a lot of wasted anxiety. So I'm waiting.
Welcome to society today, right? I mean, that's what it's all about in our world today.
Right.
We go off in a direction, what if, and it's not going to be that way. But people who don't have all the answers, and as yourself, and we talked about this when you got into office, it's a whole lot different looking on the outside in, and then when you get in and you're presented with the budgets, and the people and the department heads are coming to you and saying, no, this is what. Oh, there's suddenly an awakening that happens that not everybody is privileged to, because first of all, I don't have time to do that job too, but I still I got my opinion.
Right. And everybody is entitled to their opinion. I get a lot of people when I'm walking down. The other day I was at the farmer's market. My wife loves those round tomatoes. She loves them. And when we go over there, I'm stopped 3 to 4 times when people voice their opinion or have a question. I'm open to those.
Talking with Mayor Bob McManus, you can too. 384-2191, 384-2191 here on this first Friday in September, coming to you on MarshfieldMediaAccess.org, the Facebook page, City of Marshfield, or you can watch us on 989, your Spectrum Digital tier here. There is a couple of things on the agenda. One is talking about senior meals. The ADRC was here on the Insight program yesterday, and they deliver but they're talking about having a place where people can come and have their meals. Parkview and Cedar Rail are tight in their security for obvious reasons.
Right.
So the average person doesn't necessarily just wander in there and sit down and have a meal. But there are some people who can take advantage of that with the proper notification. They will make meals for people, and they want to have it at, I guess, the community center in Marshfield, because it's open space there now, and there's a kind of a small kitchen in that big room that they have up front. So use it as a daily dining hall, I guess. A community gathering spot for seniors.
Sure.
Anybody over, 50 or 60, I believe.
I think 55.
Is part of that. So that's something. Does the city have to put their blessing on using that building for that?
Because it's that type of use, yes, and I don't foresee any issue with that. And that senior center, the community center there, is really incredible. I go over there. I try to get over there every couple of months to go to the. They have the buffet, or not the buffets. Everybody brings a dish.
Oh, dish to pass.
Dish to pass. And those are always a lot of fun. And so this will be another way for other people that need food to be able to get fed. So I think it's an all-around good thing. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
And there's also facing seniors, the Marshfield Public Transit. There's some concerns there. Do you know anything about what's going to be discussed?
You mean as far as the
service, or I don't think there's a problem with the cost. It seems to be working fine.
Right. There's always concerns with the service, and that's going to be discussed. One thing that was in the consent agenda is that there's, but it was discussed at the last council meeting, was making 2nd Street there more one way to add more parking there. But the service, that'll be discussed. We should get our packet later on this afternoon. But that will be discussed on Tuesday's meeting.
Go over that again. What's the purpose of making another one-block, one-way street?
So the seniors came to. I'm over there a lot just to visit with the seniors, and they had 3 big concerns. One big concern was their bingo board wasn't up, so we had to get that up right away, and that we did. The other issue was when there was the initial design there was no handicap, or the library was going to be slightly different, and so we had more handicap parking over there for the library, but there by the senior center there was none. So for people that need extra assistance, handicap, they would have to park way away, and that became an issue. So we were able to look at a way and found some money in the budget to put 2 new handicap spots there. But a bigger issue that the seniors had, and they were very vocal about it. I met them, their leadership board, which is about 12 people. They were very spirited about this. They needed more parking. So, for instance, a lot of people go to the library. And so when a senior is coming in and they don't have a handicap park there, or they have to drive far away to come in for the speeches that they have there, or the pass the plate gatherings, and they would come there and there was no close parking, then they would leave. It actually affected the amount of people that came to these meetings, these gatherings, which is why there was a red flag for them. Well, on the one side, you look at this, there's free parking directly across the street in a couple of city-owned parking lots that they could. But if you are a senior that has difficulty walking, you don't want to be walking across the street. So they were wondering if we could work this out. Well, the most economical way was just continue 2nd Street, which is already a one-way street. Continue it for 1 more block, because they will be able to go and turn into the senior center there, or to the library right there. And it may affect a couple of residents there. But then you can get 10 or 11 parking spots right in front of the senior center. And the reason that would be a benefit is because people going to the library are going to want to park close to the library. So they're going to naturally park in the lot. It's thought that if we have these 10 or 11 spots right there, mostly the seniors would be using those. they were very happy with that. And so they put it through, and now we're going to wait and see. Well, it's a trial run. It's not permanent. We're going to try it for a couple of months, see how it works. Make sure that the rest of the community there isn't really disrupted, if you will. And so we'll see if that works.
All right. Mayor Bob McManus, our guest today here on the Inside program. We will wrap it up for you in just a moment. As we close out our program, thank you once again for being a guest here and allowing yourself to come in and avail yourself to our questions and concerns.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Mayor Bob McManus on the Inside program here on AM 1450 WDLB for this first Friday in the month of September. We'll do it again the first Friday of next month. Watch us at marshfieldmediaaccess.org. You can see us on your television set if you have the Spectrum Digital tier that allows you to see 989 and the government channels all around that. You can watch the meetings and what's happening there as well. And also you can watch us on Facebook at City of Marshfield. So we will talk to you again next time here on AM 1450 WDLB's Insight.